who's going to reach out to Aaron on Twitter with some safe Google searches that he can go on to research what he needs to know about Vulcan sex.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 316622.1. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leap from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I am your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me, as always, is the Aldebaran Whiskey of Ambassadors, Deneé Hughes.
Oh, that's exciting. I don't know what that means, but I thought that you were going to slam my remembering that Kirk touched the egg as the ambassador. Like you were going to be like our frequently incorrect ambassador or something.
Our frequently egg-touching ambassador.
Sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It was Kirk. I'm sorry.
Well, Aldebaran Whiskey is always described as green. So we don't know much more else about it, but it is green. And he demands you answer now. Don't wait for the translation. It's Commodore Aaron Dicer.
Thank you. When do we start going over Obi-Wan on this show? When do we start doing that show? I'm just curious.
For everyone at home, we're using a program called StreamYard, and it allows me to remove people from the conversation. Aaron, that is your first
I'm sorry.
strike.
We can start with Mandalorian. That's fine. I just didn't know.
Strike two.
How many strikes are there? Is this like regular baseball rules?
One more. Wait, what is you mentioned a sport. That's one strike for you.
Wait.
I will have no sports, and I will have no Star Wars.
Dicer, can I talk to you in the corner for a second? I think we have a backup plan.
Yep, I'm with you. Hey, Ian, we're just going to be over here not doing a mutiny, so just don't ignore us with,
Odd that you would specify exactly the thing that you're not doing.
Specifying something that you're not doing. That's a strike over here as well.
Was that an impression of me? That's...
Was that an impression of me? No, of course it wasn't.
Much better. Much better. Wow. Before we get to talking about the show, we also have... We send something. We send a Star Trek film.
Yeah.
We send the one with the whales.
The one, it's even in parentheses, the one with the whales.
I love it so
whale
much.
of a good time.
Amazing.
And we had our first Captain's Pod promo on it, too. You get to see this Enterprise ship shoom across the screen.
Do you know what a group of whales are called?
Oh, no. Is it a squall?
No.
A pod.
A pod. A group of whales is called a pod. I'm
That's
just
amazing.
saying.
It's the
was meant to
Captain's
be.
Whale episode today.
That's amazing. So it was myself and the lovely who wrote on that one? Dang it. Was it Jonathan? The lovely Jonathan Watkins wrote on that one. And if you want to hear us talk about the sins, go over to Behind the Sins, which is another podcast.
How many things can
on the
we promote at once?
Network. Let's just promote all the things at once. But yeah, so if you're joining the show after catching the YouTube video, welcome. And it doesn't get any more coherent from here on out, so just settle in and enjoy. Right, well, let's get into some actual Star Trek. This week's episode is, the title of the episode is Episode 7. And that leads to the Serene Squall. That was some great little vamping. Are we any specific predictions this week?
Well, we talked a little bit at the end about Squall being a storm and Serene kind of being contradictory.
I'm going to throw a different theory out there that it's the sound that an animal makes.
Oh, so are they hunting or rescuing? They're rescuing.
Like that.
Whoa. That's not, where's the Serene
that was
part?
not Serene.
That was not Serene.
No.
That was
this episode's going to be, about like coming to terms that someone's horrible sound is serene to someone else. Like you have to understand that serenity is sort of just
subjective.
It's not. Yeah, it's subjective. See, that could
Nice.
could be really
amazing. Well, with that, we'll see you guys for a full debrief in 10 forward after we've watched episode 7 of Strange New Worlds. Computer 3 to beam to the Enterprise.
Hey, we all get to go.
Yes, this week. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator or whatever the heck we want and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first. Deneé,
well,
what would you like to have?
I'd like most important first. That works. So let's just stick with
that's
that.
just you. Most important first, Deneé.
Me.
Aaron, what do you want?
I would like, in honor of this Spock's lesson, one of Spock's lessons in this episode, I would like some Hunchables.
Hunchable.
Yeah, which I can.
My least favorite thing is when I have to clarify, but then immediately get the pun once I reset it myself.
But this is like a Lunchable, except for all the spaces are covered and you don't know what's in them, and you have to pick the pieces of the whatever you're going to eat. And
Got it.
So yeah, it's called
Regardless,
a Hunchable.
you pick the right thing. It doesn't even
So if
matter.
if the replicator could get me some Hunchables, that would be great.
Amazing.
I'm just going to continue this. I usually say exactly what I'm actually eating or drinking.
Mhm.
There's only been a couple times that I've been like, let's go imaginary. So I'm going to go with the real thing. And I've got raisins and water.
Nice. Mixed together? Is
I
that
mean,
the
when I
raisins
take
in
a
the water?
drink, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess all food gets mixed together eventually. Well, I'm having a Bakewell tart cookie as baked by my mother because she sent me home with some Bakewell tart cookies. So this week we see the Enterprise heading into outside space. Wait, outside of Federation space.
What's outside space?
Outside space.
Is there an
As
inside space
Enterprise
and an
is going
outside
outside.
space?
The Enterprise finds the door
Yeah.
to outer space.
The Enterprise finds itself in outer space, shockingly, to the surprise of no one, following up on a distress call for some colonists, and ends up being overrun by pirates. The crew is split between a planet of pirates, or an asteroid, or a ship of pirates, and Spock has to retake the ship, the Enterprise, with some other people. Romance ensues. Right, initial thoughts and feelings.
Romance ensues.
That's the
That's
whole
all
thing.
you're going to get from me about romance. That's it.
Can we just take a moment and point out that I really think that there was a strong chance that someone in this episode of the pirate variety did in fact scream "Squaw!" So I just
Fair.
I think you do. It's not unlikely. The guns
Wasn't a
definitely
storm.
sounded. Nope.
I thought it was more important, Deneé, that before we even knew what this episode was, we tried to do an Alpha Braga 4 plan on Ian before the before the episode even started.
Did. Oh my goodness. We keep accidentally predicting things. It's insane.
I feel like the only way for people to believe that this is naturally happening, we continue to have the most strange
Yeah.
predictions
How do
before
we talk
the
about a
show.
mutiny before this episode? I don't even understand.
Or
That's
like
what we don't
orphans
read any
dying. It's every episode.
synopses.
No, not at all.
We literally do the pre-show, watch the episode all together, and then do the show.
But I'm saying that the only way people believe that is if we go live and we start
Yeah.
doing Captain's Pub with the live audience. I'm just saying, because otherwise it
That's the
really
only
looks
way.
like we.
Although
it-
even
we
then,
can edit.
even then, they couldn't. I mean, you could still say, "Oh, well,
Oh,
there's
yeah, I see
still
what you
looked
mean.
at stuff before they
Yeah.
went live or whatever."
Yeah, that's true. And the predictions will stop the second we start doing a live show.
Right,
Like
right.
we'll get everything wrong. It won't happen anymore. So I'm going to start with my initial thoughts. This episode was okay. It was fine. I was kind of lukewarm on it. It was fine. I have quite a few nitpicks to get into, some bigger than others, but it was fine. It was right in the middle of the ranking of the episodes. And love happens, so Ian's always going to be put off. Deneé, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like this better than last week's episode, but still found it to not be too surprising and also shocking in ways I wasn't really excited about. Like, there's just, I'm like, okay, okay.
I didn't like that surprise. Put it back in the box.
And the surprises weren't like twists necessarily. It's just leaps in logic and things that continue to be part of the episode, but also in this case, I wasn't as excited about them. It didn't seem like a I don't know. They're just really like, we're just gonna skip over all this and this is gonna happen now, and we're just on this wacky, very wacky adventure.
The first half of the episode feels super wacky, and then the second half is like, oh,
Quite
we've
serious.
seen all of this before and it's serious, and then ends on one of the wackiest things that we've seen in the series so far.
It's pretty goofy. This is a pretty goofy series. It's like that they should be taking a lot more seriously than they were. So I agree.
Yeah,
Again,
especially
overall,
the Pike stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like this was just it was meant to be a more fun episode that has some serious elements to it. This had a very similar feeling to last week, where I found myself wanting to multitask while watching instead of being like really excited about what I was seeing. And that's probably going to be a byproduct a bit of the episodic nature of the show. So I'm not too upset about it, because I still had fun watching it for the most part.
Well, that's the great thing, is that you can leave it behind. Aaron, your thoughts?
I went back and forth on this one. I did get bored, especially during a lot of that middle stuff as well. There's some things I really like about this episode. But overall, I think I'm on the negative side. Not like super negative, but just kind of like, it was okay, but I don't know. Let's get on to something else. It's interesting because there are some things I really like about this episode. Chief among them, some of the stuff it's doing on the idea of being non-binary. Some of the stuff it's doing with the lead, who herself is a non-binary person, saying things to Spock about it's always been a false choice. The question isn't what you are, it's who you, like these really beautiful things that she's saying. And I love it when a show does that. I love it when it kind of takes, and it's interesting. I wondered, Ian, maybe you could talk about this. Like, has Star Trek ever dealt with trans issues or non-binary issues or anything like that? I mean, it deals with so much. I was just wondering if that's like a new one for Trek. And by the way, it didn't specifically deal with it in this episode. It kind of laid it right there under the surface. But
yeah, it definitely used the Spock battling between being human and Vulcan,
right, as a metaphor.
Is the allegory. Yeah, that's it. And whether that's even the right question to be asking.
Right.
There is an episode from TNG that comes closest, and it doesn't do a very good job of it at all. So it deals with a species that has no gender at all. And then whenever somebody chooses to present as male or female, they are then shut down, shunned, and brainwashed.
No biological gender, not even just the idea of gender as a construct.
Yeah, so there is no biological gender. Right, it was apparently bred out of them,
which is technically sex, not gender, just so we're specific.
Apologies. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, absolutely. But they still, some people present as female or male, and it was dealing with this in 1989, so it had a stab at it. Didn't do a particularly great job, and it's one of the more infamous episodes of TNG because it becomes Riker saving the day and dictating what this society should do. And it's like, it's kind of almost a white savior thing, but for trans issues.
Sure.
It has been covered off. It's just, Star Trek is the perfect vehicle to do that in a lot of ways.
I think so. So like I said, there's stuff like that where I go, I really respect that. I really appreciate that. I really think that's interesting. There's other stuff like the Chapel Spock stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into. I personally liked that. I don't like love triangles specifically, but there's something about the Chapel Spock thing that seems more interesting, and I think it's the way Chapel is approaching it. I think it's her approach to the whole thing that's making it really interesting to me. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, the Chapel half of that dynamic is what I enjoy as well, because she is so like resistant to, or presents as being resistant to, relationships and commitment, and just acknowledges that, you know what, I really like Vulcans. Like, they are just, their lack of emotion is absolutely what I need.
Yeah.
And falls into the same kind of tropes of falling for the wrong person as such. But I think how the actor carries that as well is really fun to see.
Yeah.
Deneé, what did you like about the episode?
Yeah, I like seeing more of what we know is the history of like Spock and Chapel, and I would think that as a fan of like the original series and then watching something like this and seeing these moments where Spock has to lie about being with Chapel so that he can avoid this prisoner exchange, and T'Pring seeing that happen live and them severing their bonds and all that, like it gives history to some of the decisions that they know or that fans know are made later on.
Yeah.
So I think that is really interesting, and it also there's an element too for me of, since I love Spock so much, of seeing how this actor is trying to emulate the very interesting task of emoting and not emoting all at the same time.
It's wild, isn't it? Because
it's really well done.
He's playing a Vulcan that hasn't even purged all of his emotions yet. So the colon R thing is something that I think Vulcans can choose when they do it. Some do it like later in life, and it's when you've 100% like you get a rubber stamp saying you have purged all of your emotions. You get a big tick from the Vulcan High Command. So Ethan Peck has to play a Vulcan that is half human, that has emotions, but is on the route to purging all of the emotions. It's like such a complicated dynamic to present.
And very logically approaching the steps to do so. And we've learned some things about Spock that I really appreciate, like the idea that he was raised on Vulcan and has had to kind of answer for his humanity since the day he was born. And almost it's illogical to have to prove yourself, but like maintain that level of being judged while also, you know, just living in this world. So I continue to be really invested in his story. And I didn't know where this show, like at the beginning, I didn't know where this was going, as is normal with these. Sometimes I can kind of get a pretty strong idea, but so far the way that the series has been is I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know exactly where it's going, and that's exciting for me. Some of it was very obvious, like obviously the mutiny was not only a telltale before the crew said it, but then the crew is also saying it. So those things are pretty obvious as to where that's kind of leading. But the T'Pring and Spock kind of storyline, and then the bringing up of the brother, who I have no idea who that is. And let's just jump to that.
Let's do it.
Can we?
Oh my goodness! I cannot believe they dropped the Cybok card. Like that is.
What is the Cybok card?
Insane.
Though?
So you've heard me talk about Star Trek V and how much this is the one with God. And
oh wait, hold on. One with God. Okay. In this episode, in this movie, Shatner was like, "Give me the reins, or you're not gonna like it." And they're like, "Okay, you have the reins." And then he does this God thing without it being a God thing.
Yep. So his original idea was he was like, it's not fair that Leonard Nimoy Spock has directed movies and written movies. I'm not coming back unless I get to do one, is the kind of accepted rumor that what happened. And then he just created this absolutely terrible movie where they have to Cybok. So Cybok suddenly appears in this film. We've got like 30 years of Star Trek. Spock's brother has never ever been mentioned, and they mention it in the movie. Like Kirk is like, "How did you never tell us that you didn't have a brother?" And Spock basically says, "You never asked." I was like, that is some bullshit. That is some absolute nonsense. But yeah, Cybok's brother rejects logic, rejects ignoring emotions, and he's been exiled and shunned from Vulcan. And he's all about trying to find this galactic god. And they eventually find him in the middle of the galaxy. But God is angry and needs a spaceship to get out of the middle of the galaxy where he's been imprisoned.
That and the God is Spock's brother?
No, the God is like some alien thing.
I'm gonna say Tricktion.
Yep.
Yes, I got it.
No, that is actually Trek.
I'm just confused about the pulling the Cybok's card. Who is? I don't understand who Cybok is in relation to the movie.
So Cybok he needs a ship to get to the middle of the galaxy, and then
he's the one looking for God.
He's looking for God.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. I missed that part.
This reminds me very much of when Thanos showed up after I think it was Age of Ultron. What was the first post-credits Thanos appearance?
Avengers.
Was it after Avengers?
After Avengers.
So I thought that was shawarma. Maybe there were two. Anyways.
No, there were two.
Okay, so it reminds me of that in that the comic book fans were like, "Oh my goodness, that was Thanos," and 95% of the population was like, who?
Cool, Thanos.
But it became a big deal. So the Cybok thing reminds me of that in some way. I didn't know who that was, and I've got a pretty decent idea of Trek stuff, but like,
it's a really interesting move because Star Trek V is like accepted by everyone as just a terrible Star Trek movie. So there might be a little bit of like redemption here of and Cybok is like an interesting character, like this fully Vulcan brother of Spock that has rejected logic, rejected emotion, and is on his path to find God or some new way of living.
He's rejected emotion and logic?
Sorry, he's rejected the Vulcan view of emotion, so he accepts all of his emotions. Yeah, but he just rejects.
Oh, that'd be interesting to watch. Ooh.
So he cracks jokes. He has long hair and a beard, and he's like always wisecracking, and is super duper serious.
He's a hippie.
He's a Vulcan hippie.
He's a Vulcan hippie. I cannot wait.
The perfect description of Cyborg. He's definitely the best part of the movie.
He's Vulcan hippie, but he has a psycho cat pirate girlfriend.
At this point in time,
Apparently.
he does. Yeah, this is news to me, but it's yes,
but it's also the show going, guess we're doing carryover story arcs now. Like it's just another thing to kind of throw in the pot of, guess we're going to be visiting this for a few episodes at some point.
And are they, will they care? I'm sure that'll come up in seasons to follow.
Oh, it absolutely will. Yeah. The only issue is Chapel, and it's ReSINstance. Never mind. I'm happy that Cyborg has turned up. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't like the idea of burying the final frontier, the fifth movie, and just pretending like it didn't happen, as much as it was a terrible film.
Other things I liked about this episode, too, if I can mention them before we go on. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I finally got the crossover I've been waiting for since we started this podcast, and that is Top Chef meets Star Trek.
I know.
And I realize it should be in the ReSINstance section of the show. But I was like, oh, come on, let's do a cooking competition. Here we go. I love Top Chef. So for them to be like in the kitchen, I was like, okay, all right, here we go.
Let's go.
Let's get those herbs out. Like, I guess he was cooking at the beginning of the season, right? Like at the very, very beginning when the whole season kicks off and he's on
he cooked for the crew.
Well, but then also before he even left.
He was cooking breakfast or whatever.
He was cooking for his lady friend. Yeah. The Pike stuff was fine. Like, there was a massive swing in tone between what was happening on the ship and what was happening with the crew and the pirates, and just how, like, were they never actually in danger? Like, were they never afraid?
Exactly. It's weird because it's definitely sinful, because they should be very concerned about everything that's happening, but for some reason they're having a ball, and so kind of like I was too.
This is a great episode because we cannot stop slipping into ReSINstance early, so it's clearly an amazing episode.
Well, it's not that I'm saying that it's absolutely sinful and we should talk about it.
Yeah.
But there is this part of it that's like watching them have fun. I'm also then like having fun too, and that is a positive part of this show. Is this weird? There's this weird area of my brain where it's like, well, I've never been on a ship before. I've never been trained. Like, maybe this isn't as big of a deal as I think it should be. So they're having fun with this trap that's about to kill them. So maybe I should be having fun with, like, it's just this weird sort of space where they're clearly more competent than me.
There was definitely a cognitive dissonance between, this is really fun, but it's reminding me that there's no stakes. Like, it's fun to have, like, Mbenga scan him and just go, no, it must be broken because he's suggesting we go and see the Klingons, and Ortega's like wisecracking all the way along. So it's really fun, but I'm like, okay, I guess I check out, because like you're obviously not going to get zapped. You're not scared, so I'm not going to be.
Is the show, I'm changing the subject, apologies. Is the show trying to get its 3-week chip at like Himmers Anonymous or something? Like,
I know.
That's ReSINstance, right? That's a sin. That is a sin.
That is a big sin. What was I going to say? So overall, I really, really liked Dr. Aspen. As soon as she kind of turned evil, but she was like, man, like, introduce a female character, we are odds on they'll be evil at this point in every episode. And just as soon as she kind of turned evil, I was like, oh, we're going to get more of her. Like, she's going to be maybe not recurring every season, but she's going to come back, because the way she presented herself and the way she like dominated the bridge and took the chair, oh man, I loved her. I was getting like kind of Q vibes from her of just being, I'm a fuck with you as much as I can.
Yeah, she was having fun in this role. The moment when she stood on the captain's chair and shot Spock.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, stop it. That's Spock. Leave him alone. But then also, that was pretty badass looking. So,
and that says a lot about my psychology, because when you said stop, I immediately went to get your shoes off of my chair, not don't shoot Spock. That's where my priorities lie. It's like, no, get off my chair.
I do have some sinful things about her though, because of the tells and things like this.
Well,
but,
I was just gonna.
overall,
I mean, I guess that was my question: is when did you guys know? But that's I guess that is probably ReSINstance.
Yeah, let's start ReSINstance with when did you guys know? Because I have a very strong sin about that.
Okay. Good,
okay, awesome. Aaron, what else did you love about the episode?
I love this cast.
Before we sin it.
I love, I said fire gently, and then the response is, what does firing gently even mean?
How did
Like,
you
that made me
even
laugh.
want me to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was really funny.
It's it is very well written.
It's just like, am I just supposed to squeeze the trigger a little softer? Is that how it works? Like, so yeah, I did enjoy that. And honestly, like, I am not a big pirate story person. Like, it's just the pirate genre. I think Johnny Depp, was fun as Jack Sparrow for maybe a movie and a half, but I'm not generally into the pirate thing. But I thought, they were having fun with it, so I was having fun with it. So yeah.
Yeah, like, I always expected, like, non-Federation space, the way they built it up, and if we go in there, we're on our own. Like, the stakes went from, this is really scary, to, yo ho ho, very, very quick,
Yes.
like, to the Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Like, just out of nowhere.
The other thing I was going to say before we go to ReSINstance is every episode every third episode just going to end on Vulcan sex? Like, is that just this show's...
T'Pring is horny. Like, T'Pring is horny for Spock.
It's just like, oh, okay, they're going to be rebonding, ritualing each other's brains out again.
That's definitely 3 episodes we've had that.
There was this moment between them, she was talking about, like, seeing his passion, the way that he kissed, he kissed and or was being kissed, and then it, like, started up a little bit of a passion. Because at first it was kind of like the emotionless smooch, and then, like, it looked like Chapel, almost called her church.
Yeah. Nice. Close enough. Bishop.
Like, kind of amped it up, and then he kind of got into it a little
100%.
bit.
Oh, yes.
Like,
right?
to begin with,
Okay.
I was like, T'Pring must have been watching a different kiss, because I didn't see, like, almost any passion from Spock. But I saw a little bit from...
Oh, he got
went
there.
there after Chapel.
Yes.
That's what I felt like.
He followed
and I was like,
her there, for sure.
Yeah. So then when T'Pring and Spock kiss, there's this just split second where the actor playing T'Pring pulls away and looks just a little disappointed.
Oh, man.
And I'm like,
I was hoping she was going to say, well, I guess it's over because you didn't kiss me like you kissed her.
And I think that she wants him to go into his humanity more, and he's on his own journey for that. So anyways, it's very, very interesting. It's a very...
Yes.
I think she kind of wants some of the human loving.
She,
Some of the caveman stuff.
Considering this show starts off fully just being like, let's talk about human sex. Yeah, that's what she wants.
Oh,
She's been studying it, okay? So...
I mean, she's been it's interesting that she went to some, like, works of, like, some novels instead of the litany of internet stuff that she could have gone to study human
that's
carnal
out
bits.
there. Yeah, but maybe
It's
we're
still
glad
out
she
there.
didn't go into the porn archives, because that's just a really strange representation of sex anyway. But it's
exactly
something to research.
it's exactly how Vulcan would study human sexuality. It would be books and
Shakespeare.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The anatomy. It'd be Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. That's what they would look up. But these are all the parts you use, surely. So yeah, I mean, I could talk about Cybok probably for another hour and a half, but we will not do that. Instead, we will move over to engineering for ReSINstance's Futile.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Right, okay, I've previously on really, really quick. Stop it. I did not need to be reminded that T'Pring existed. I did not need to be reminded that Spock is on a journey with T'Pring. I did not need to be reminded that Anson Mount, Captain Pike, likes to cook. Like, as soon as, like, he used the I'm gonna cook for you gambit, I was like, really? You had to put that in the previously ons? Or else you were worried I wasn't gonna get there? You're worried that as an escape attempt was going to seem too ridiculous unless you reminded me that the ship had a galley. I'm just
not how they're...
Stop preloading me. Just let me watch the episode.
They aren't producing previously ons with that mindset. Their mindset isn't how can we help the audience remember things that they need to remember. They start with, we have to have a previously on, so what connects to the episode? So they're not thinking about it in practical terms. They're just thinking, oh, I have to produce a previously on. What are some things that we...
Why?
It's dumb. It's
why
dumb.
Is this the standard?
You don't have to have a previously
know.
on. You absolutely don't.
I have two things to say about this, Sim, before we move on. One is you can press skip if you want to. And two is I wonder if they're designing these for like 4 years in the future when someone has forgotten and they're just picking out an episode to watch. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that now. I'm not saying that I like them because I don't, but it's just part of our culture. It's just part of what we have to do.
No, I'm always going to I'm always going to lean towards trusting the intelligence of the audience, which is probably a mistake on my part. So, but that is how I lean. I always lean that way.
Okay. Deneé and Aaron, you guys both. What was it you wanted to start off with?
When did you know?
When did you know?
Oh, yeah. When did you know?
Well, I knew in the lift when she wanted him to put on the necklace.
It's an interesting place.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a strange thing to be asking someone to do. It's very unprofessional, and it denotes that there's a lot more to her than they're telling us. There's more in there. I was absolutely assured of it on the third outfit change because let me tell you something.
That's perfect.
When you have 3 outfit changes in one episode, the show is telling you this person is very, very, very important because not even the captain gets this many outfit changes. He did get 2. He did go into the away team this time. But nobody else on the show gets outfit changes. Last episode, there was a really important person and she got like, I think 2. Maybe 3 outfit changes. And so that's I'm noticing it. Also, she had the full bodysuit, dark, badass.
That was kind of a giveaway, wasn't it? I was like, oh, you're a spider queen.
And then she's sitting on that chair and she's got her arm kind of like all the way out, you know. So it's very clear that she was sassy, which is a fine trait of not a pirate captain. But there was just enough of her that I was like, there's something else going on here, and it is. But it's got tells.
I think the tells. I don't know if it's completely a negative because it's in some ways it's just good acting. But there is the tells for me are that those flashes of snark and sass are almost trying to be hidden. Right? So that's the tell. The tell isn't that there's snark or sass. The tell is that she's trying to do something else with her other words, and then every once in a while, the sass comes out. And the first time I saw it was, I think they were sitting together. It was the conversation. It was her first attempt to tell him. He asked the question, like, if I'm not human or Vulcan, what am I? And she has some response to that. And I was like, oh, that was an interesting flash in her eyes. You know, when she said that, and I was like, I wonder if, you know, and that's when it piqued my interest, but yeah.
Yeah, that discussion in the middle of the episode where she is showing like a huge amount of insight into Vulcan duality and Spock's story and like getting so invested in Spock, I was like, nope, something else is here. Like, there is no reason for this random colonist doctor to know and give that much of a crap about Spock and his journey.
Her necklace had a magnetic clasp. She did not need assistance.
Yes.
Why did she do that? I'm just sorry. Sorry.
No, it's great. Very true. But that's also good writing kind of too. Like that's, you know, to have that.
This really bugged me, like right at the beginning of the episode, but the angle on the video tablets was completely wrong. So it was angled. They both had them resting on the table. And yet when you look at them on the screen, they're looking like face on. But the angle should have been like them looking down, unless the camera is somewhere other than where the tablet is. And there's no reason for that.
Yeah. Good catch. Totally missed it.
Good catch.
I could not unsee it. Deneé.
T'Pring is wearing a lot of makeup, and I just can't believe that Vulcans would think that makeup is logical. So I would probably just try to sin that a little bit.
This is one of my things with Vulcan. They are way too put together because logic is different than cultural pressure. Like it's like you mentioned the beard being illogical. Why is a beard illogical? Isn't it more illogical to cut the hair off of your face that grows back? Like, isn't it more logical just to let it grow?
Oh, completely.
Like, so yeah that thing is, that's always been one of those things.
Yeah, there is some cultural stuff that is completely separate to logic. Like, they don't shave because it's logical. They shave because they view it culturally as clean, pristine, and hygienic. No, Vulcans are like super hygienic to like an OCD level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where like the grooming comes from.
Interesting. I'd have to frame this sin in a way where it's like, I'm not Vulcan, so maybe I'm missing the point here, but, getting up early to put on this precise amount of makeup and then having to wash your face very carefully in the evening to make sure that it doesn't get on the pillows and everything. That seems like a lot of time that you could be sleeping or reading or whatever, but I'm not a Vulcan, so I'd play around with that sin, but I think I would hit that one this time.
Now, I'd love to know the logic behind it as well, because they do wear a lot in the original series as well, female Vulcan. So I don't know, it could be ceremonial, but Aaron.
Man, there was a lot of reading at the beginning, and it was like all Vulcan like places and words.
There
was so much of it. It went into a second line, and I was just like, there has like I literally gave up reading it halfway through. I was like, I don't know what any of this means. I don't even need to finish this sentence. Vulcan, yeah, something.
We're on a planet. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. A strange one for me was Dr. Aspen's quarters. They don't soundproof the rooms, apparently. Like, I would imagine, like, spaceships in the 23rd century.
Oh, when she's having a rave or whatever?
Fantastic soundproofing, yeah, when she's working out. And also, a communication from the captain doesn't override whatever EDM music that you're playing. It's like, the captain was trying to get hold of you. I was like, then turn the music down, computer.
Now, this is her, again, playing Spock, though, right? She wants Spock to discover her like working out, and like she wants to throw him off his game. Am I wrong? Was that all not intentional? Like, I thought that was all part of it.
I don't know what the end goal is, though.
I think it's just to like mess with Spock and kind of get him in a vulnerable place.
Yeah, perhaps. Aaron, I think you're up.
Is it me? This is more a question for Ian, because maybe I'm just overthinking the Vulcan thing, but why would Spock get so embarrassed about talking about sex? That doesn't strike me as something that would be embarrassing to him. But he's immediately like all aw shucks and like red face.
I think it's specifically the human version of sex. So I think Spock has always been embarrassed about being half human.
So it's
I
the
think
human
it's specifically
part.
She's wanting to better understand the culture that makes you by studying sex, which is a sin. For me, by the way, that's just like why.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to understand a culture, so you're going to start with sex.
It's an odd place to start.
It's just.
I don't know, man. It sure does drive a lot of culture. It really does.
I mean, you're not wrong, but over the course of the entire history of human history, you're gonna say, hey Spock, I'm gonna understand you better, so I'm gonna go back to human history and study sex, so I understand you as a person better. And that just seemed like a really dumb thing.
It's also weird because. Are they do they have different genitals than humans do? Like, is it?
I mean,
physiological?
I haven't seen proof,
is it emotional? Like, yeah,
I have no proof. I mean, we know that they do stuff because we've kind of seen them do stuff. I don't know how it differs from human sex. The only reason I can think that she leans that way is because he was raised on Vulcan, so there's no good tapping into Earth culture because he isn't connected to that. But maybe those carnal instincts are something that she can tap into. I don't know.
She can tap that? You think that's
she can tap that? Yeah, I walked into that one. I'm sorry. Yeah, very strange. Totally agree.
It brings up so many questions about Vulcan sex because, like, the logical part of it. So they have sex for pleasure. Like, there's nothing illogical about pleasure. I wouldn't assume, right? But the pleasure. Maybe this is just me. The pleasure is heightened by emotion, right? Like, emotions are like connections
for humans.
For humans,
that's what I'm saying. So for Vulcans, I'm just wondering, like, do they try to disconnect that part of them even during sexual intercourse?
So who's going to reach out to Aaron on Twitter with some safe Google searches that he can go on to research what he needs to know about Vulcan sex?
Thank you.
Yes,
there has to be so much like fan material out there that's just like.
Thank you for protecting me by saying safe. That's really kind of you to make sure that they're safe.
I'm sure they will absolutely abide by that. Well, I don't think that's a question we're going to answer today. Deneé,
Nope.
What was your next one?
Well, we already seen the no Hemmer in this episode. This would have been a really fun episode to see him save the day or do something unique
In
where
engineering.
his blindness
Where was he?
playing a part or something. But he's still MIA, so that's an interesting
Strange.
thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to send. There's this one part, and I would go back and I'd listen to it again. But when Spock and Dr. Aspen, but not actually, I guess we should call her Angel. When Angel comes up the lift or whatever, and they're coming onto the bridge. So he had just put the necklace on her, and they're going onto the bridge, and they're discovering the debris field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they step off of the lift, the audio goes, wee, captain on board, or captain on the bridge.
Okay.
But
Oh, I missed
Pike
that.
was already on the bridge. So I don't know why it would announce when Spock arrives that the captain was on the bridge. And I would
That's
be asking more about that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
maybe
I
it knew
totally
that
missed
Angel
that
was a
one.
captain.
I mean,
It's an interesting
how?
thing. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
How?
Technically, you're right, Aaron. It's not wrong.
That's so strange. That's
It was
bizarre.
so weird because I was like, wait, because Captain Pike appears immediately, like to meet them to talk about this debris field. So, but he wasn't in the lift with them. So it was a really
That's so
interesting
strange.
thing.
That's so strange. Yeah, no, I would definitely have to rewatch that and take a
Wee!
look. Woo! So are you saying that there was actually an announcement that said
Yes.
Captain on the Bridge? Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
I
Okay.
am pretty confident, but I also said that Uhura touched the egg last episode when it was Kirk. So continue
she
to gently
100%.
point out my mistakes. I appreciate how gentle the audience has been with the mistakes, by the way.
she would have 100% touched the egg.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
given the
she's an
she
egg
is,
toucher,
Yeah,
you
she
know.
absolutely is.
It's part of her character sheet.
Absolutely. So man, did Spock have like a lot of confidence about that laser grid. Like as soon as that laser grid turned on, it was like bam, bam, bam. Like let's do this, let's do this, as if I thought it was going to be revealed that he built the damn thing.
Right.
Because he was immediately like, that won't work because of this, that won't work because of that. Like the specifics that he had.
It was very much Jurassic Park where the girl's like, it's a Unix system. I know those. You know, where it's just like,
Great.
great.
Good for you.
Got
but
you know exactly what's going on.
How did you know that?
And
Just-
he's done
it
that
was crazy.
before. Like this character has done that before because there isn't that Data character that we have in this series that sort of is the one that gets to answer all the questions, or the twins that were in the Picard. You know, the android twins that that are in Picard. It's like there's that character that like
Dodge and Soji,
yeah, where they always have the answers, and so clearly Spock is that person because he's had that happen multiple times so far where he's like, oh, that's a this and this and blah 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 and da 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 da. I think when they were escaping the Gorn in the in that whatever smoky, it's not smoke. What was it?
What? They were in a black hole.
In the episode where but they went into that like cloud or whatever.
Nebulous.
And he was just like super intelligent about the cloud the whole time as well. So he's done that before.
Vulcans are Vulcans. They're going to do some Vulcan stuff.
Yes, they are.
Aaron?
There was a really easy welcome to the Serene Squall. Very easy roll commercial squalls.
Yeah, most squalls. Nice.
So yeah, that was really easy. That was an easy one.
Today.
Nice. Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Nice, got it. I know. I got that. I understood that reference.
I did it. We already talked about this a bit, but the false bravado of confidence that the crew has that they're not in danger. I think if we were going to send this episode, it'd be really fun to kind of point out all the times when their life is in danger or there's something serious going on, and then just have like a recurring sin where it's like, but not that serious, right?
The tone was
You know.
so different. Like
Tone was,
was so
all over
strange.
the
and
place.
the, like the terrible acting during that mutiny
Oh, it was so
plan. It
bad.
was so
Yeah.
Oh guys, I don't know if this will be bad for you if they lead. Like it was just
but
I can't
I've
believe
had
they
your
fell for
gruel.
yeah.
I
It was,
can't believe
it was
they
like
fell
a grade
for
school
it. It
play.
was so bad.
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of, Ian? It reminded me of the scheme in the episode of TNG that you and I watched with Will and Diana, or
Menage a Troy.
Diana Troy, and then her
Yeah.
mother, where
Uh-huh.
they're all captured on this Ferengi ship. And Will Riker goes over, and one of the Ferengi is playing chess, whatever the chess is called. What's it called?
3D chess.
Three-dimensional
3D chess.
Yeah.
And he's like, boy, sure is hard to play from all the way over here. I'm probably going to have to come out of the cell and play chess with you.
You'd better turn off this force field so I can play chess with you.
And the Frankie's like, I would never do that. And then immediately does that.
With no explanation.
Super has the same tone in this one where it's like, boy, you shouldn't go take over the captain's ship, should you now? Oh, I would never do that. And then they immediately do that.
Immediately does it. And I'm okay with that if that's the whole tone of the episode. But we swung back into some really deep emotional stuff on the Enterprise. And it's like, it is so difficult to make that leap between two things, especially when Pike at the minute seems to be the joke. He seems to be consistently the one making the jokes or at the butt of the jokes, or we've barely seen him do anything really captain-y.
And also there's something too about that second tone that we lose in the, so we'll say like there's the crew on the pirate ship with a mutiny, and then there's the crew that's on the Enterprise. So on the mutiny ship, there should be kind of more of he's clearly using his charisma to try to like assess the situation, and they've clearly done this before. So he has this kind of, confidence that he's going to be able to influence this upcoming mutiny. And that's almost believable. But when the tone shifts over into the second ship, onto the Enterprise, the other thing that really bothers me is even after the plan is foiled, it really does seem like Angel would be the kind of person that would, when Pike pops up on the screen, is just like, I'll fucking kill Spock right now. I still have the ship. Like it immediately turns into wah 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 wah. Well, my plan was foiled. I'd better ski daddy do out of here. Instead of it being like, I still have Spock. I have this nurse person, and I still have the upper hand in that I could blow you up. The negotiation tactics, the seriousness of it all just immediately fizzled away, and it turned into almost like a cartoon kind of parody of itself. It was really strange, and it zapped the depth of that Enterprise out also, because I totally don't believe that Angel wouldn't do something extreme. And maybe I'm missing something, but
no, I don't think so.
Setting the tone difference would be an interesting thing to figure out how to do.
That we have 30 seconds to wrap up the episode is
it ends
that's the problem.
So fast.
Is all hands abandon ship, doesn't matter now. Like, you'd think she wouldn't have any qualms still stealing the Enterprise.
Exactly.
But she couldn't, because they blew out its things or whatever.
Before that,
they had the backup
right before
codes,
that, if she had said, if you touch the ship, I'm killing Spock, we have a different episode.
Right. No, she could have threatened lives. That's the thing she could have continued to do. But
she was before.
The show very conveniently hand waves that she can't control the ship anymore, that the ship won't go anywhere. Like,
we got into the back end codes. Yeah. But she still has hostages.
Correct.
Which leads nicely into, is getting your Vulcan boyfriend out of jail. Like, is stealing the flagship of Starfleet
is that the best plan
you could think to?
Let's talk about the villain's plan.
Let's talk about the villain's plan. Is stealing the Enterprise, surely that is harder than breaking a Vulcan out of a non-prison. Like
a non-prison, not even a prison.
It's
just a rehabilitation center.
It's just a rehab center. How is stealing the Enterprise like step one? It should be like, I don't know. Step one, I'm going to steal Cyborg's brother. Step two, I leverage that to get the Enterprise, because that's the bigger prize here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of Vulcans to rehabilitate too. That facility was pretty fucking big.
I don't doubt it. I mean, you try and suppress all of your emotions and see how much rehabilitation you need. But yeah, that was wild.
Another one I have is at the very end, like you've got Captain Pike and the crew on the pirate ship, and you got to get us out of here because we're not quite done with the mutiny part yet. Yeah. And you've got these pirates that are essentially climbing the ladder of the wall, and a little bit of fire kind of gets into the room. There are massive gaps, probably like 2-foot gap between the slats in the wall that they could easily shoot them.
He is way too casual about that like phaser burst that fires past the back of his head. He's just like, whoop, that would have been awkward if that had hit me, wouldn't it? It would have blown my fucking head off. Like, why is this not a problem?
If the doors were closing behind him and it was like one wayward, and so he's really confident because he's in an enclosed space, that's one thing. But this is the entire wall is open slats. I mean, somebody could easily crawl through it and they're climbing up it. I mean, it looks really cool, but anyways, I would definitely send that.
Another massive shift in tone. Yeah, it's interesting. Aaron?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done. I will say that Captain Pike delivers some pirate lingo at the end, and I found it very, very funny. And the people on the bridge also found it funny. You can see on their faces that they thought that was cute and funny. But what they say is, please stop. And I would just ask that if you have somebody in your life that makes dumb jokes and you even kind of think they're funny a little bit, just let them know that you enjoyed it. Don't tell them to stop.
Yeah, this coming from the person spewing out the dumb jokes 24/7.
What, me? I don't. No. This isn't about me. There's nothing personal here.
I love that in that sin you related to Pike and I related to number one.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I'm definitely Ortegas, like sniggering away but hiding it because I'm embarrassed. This is such a nitpick, and I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of phasers firing bullets. Give me a laser beam. Like, I don't like the pew 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 pew. I want a solid beam of energy, please. That's what I want. Please give it to me. Deneé?
Yeah, I've got one more, and this one might not be a sin. I probably am wrong about it, but it was confusing, and that is that T'Pring got there so fast. Like, she got there so fast.
Like, they were 2 days out of communication, and that travels faster than ships. So, like.
So I was really confused. Like, how did Starfleet not show up? Because they sent a message to Starfleet, and then they left their little beacon thing to communicate or whatever. But then she's able to send a message to T'Pring somehow, and then T'Pring is able to actually get there, have this whole exchange. I was confused. Like, does Vulcan have a different way of communicating? And I didn't know.
I mean, they have how are they communicating? That's the main thing. I can only assume that Vulcan is closer than Starfleet, I guess. Whatever, but. How T'Pring managed to get Cybok, secure the ship, trick the Vulcan High Command into giving her a ship, and then getting a crew to crew that ship, and then getting
quickly,
super
quick
to the asteroid field is
I didn't understand that.
Just like, zip, we're here.
I didn't get that. I didn't understand.
Yeah. Bizarre. And I just had one last one, which, man, if you thought that was nitpicky, this is even worse. There is technically no regulation against captains going on away missions until after, because Kirk is on all of the away missions, and it's something that they actually introduce because of all of the fuckery that Kirk does going on away missions. So number one shouldn't have raised that as an issue to Pike.
That's a good sin.
It suggests that we have the regulation, they scrap it, and then bring it back because of Kirk, which is it's possible.
And it's possible. It's possible.
I do have one more. And it is where Spock is like, I think I have deduced who the prisoner is. And it's that classic thing where somebody says that they have information instead of just saying the information. And it's because, they just want to plant the seed for the audience and then say it later and save it for a big reveal. But it always annoys me. Always annoys me.
Oh, this is what the last thing I was going to say about Cybok and Chapel is that Chapel, there's this huge thing that nobody has ever heard of Cybok, and everyone's pissed at Spock for not mentioning him. Chapel knows. Uhura now knows. Like, maybe Uhura doesn't know, but Chapel is right there and she's on the ship. Like, she knows who Cybok is. That's kind of a show
kind of breaks some things. Yeah,
it breaks some things.
Unless they're just not the kind of people to share other people's brother-sister information.
I thought you were going to be not the kind of people to remember things more than a year or so.
Yeah, I mean, it could well be that. Like, if Chapel had swung in on...
I think I remember you mentioning something about a Cybok.
Maybe it's like they're going to have everybody swear to secrecy in an upcoming episode.
Yes.
Yeah, it will. They'll all have their minds wiped. The Cybok thing still blows my mind. Like, what a bold character to bring in. Like, that's pretty wild.
Meanwhile, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the big swings. It kind of legitimizes him.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was a big swing. That's the thing. Like, I have no, point of reference.
I thought you would have known. I nearly texted you saying, "Hey, Cybok."
No.
Before we wrap up, it's kind of cool. Like, it's Spock, Cybok. What would if we were a part of that family, we would probably have Ock names.
Yeah, Sarek.
Yeah.
I'd be Eric. You'd be Eek. Deneé.
Denock. As far as I know, the marriage wasn't out of wedlock. It was a previous wife, but never mind. Doesn't matter. I'm not gonna pick apart canon too much. I don't think there's much need to do predictions this week.
No, there's stuff hanging now all of a sudden, but yeah.
We predict that the brother's coming back.
Yep.
We predict some kinky Vulcan sex is going to be attempted.
Yeah. We messed up. They do not go back to the planet and save the kid. So
Not
we'll
this
scratch
episode,
that
at
off.
least. Mhm.
Not yet.
Yep.
Maybe it happens later. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. I'll be off preparing for my third date with the Enterprise.
I'm way too intelligent to take lip off this crew.
And I'm confused because we're ending this differently. It's Yar from me. What are we doing?
What do you mean? Today you took Aaron's. Aaron, did you take Deneé's spot? I think it's Ian. It doesn't
fine.
matter.
It's fine.
You know,
It's
live
fine.
long on Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Hi ho, hi ho. It's off to Captain's Pod I go. Oh my god. Why is there no one here? It's 101. Why is no one here? Did I miss a memo? Was there a memo? There's probably a memo. Fuck.
Okay, should we dive into some Tricktion because we didn't get time to last week?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm feeling confident that Aaron can play along without cheating.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to gamble.
How did Aaron cheat last time?
Well, he knew I was lying. Okay, we're back on Voyager, and we jump straight into the action. The episode opens, and Voyager is under attack. It's forced to land on an icy planet, and it's taken heavy damage. This huge, seemingly chunk of ice has flown from the atmosphere, knocked it out of orbit, and it takes a huge dive and takes a crash land. Boom, into the opening credits. We come back from the opening credits, and everyone's doing like the typical damage report, battle stations, all of that stuff. And we find out that they were orbiting this planet because deep in the icy core was a shit ton of dilithium. And they need dilithium to power the warp core to get back home. But because dilithium is so explosive, they guess that a chain reaction happened in the planet, that like a massive earthquake blasted a piece of ice into orbit, and that's what knocked out the ship. And they're like, okay, cool. But what's happening? There are some like time thingies going on. The core of the planet is so dense that it is warping time. So different parts of the ship are moving at like a different rate in time. So Janeway is like in her quarters, and Kim will be like, Captain Janeway, to the bridge. And she gets to the bridge, but Kim hasn't made the call yet. And then he's about to make the call, but she beats him there. And all kind of funny shenanigans. Eventually, they come up with a plan to get off of the planet. They're going to deliberately ignite some of the dilithium that's in the core of the planet, and then ride the wave of the dilithium explosion on an ice sheet back into orbit. Now, they realize that it's this ice sheet that puts them on the planet in the first place. Because of the timey-wiminess, their escape from the planet is what causes them to crash in the first place, and 5 crew members died. So Janeway has to make the decision, do I save the ship, knowing that I'm going to sacrifice those 5 crew members? And she does. And then the loop resets.
Janeway makes the decision to reset the loop to save the dead people? Is that what you said?
No, so escaping the loop is what kills the dead people. But the only other option is to stay on the planet. So she has to
she makes
give
the decision to kill the dead people so that they can break out of the time loop.
Can we
Exactly.
just specify that the killing dead people, they're already dead. They're killing alive people,
Making it
and
permanent.
Making them dead.
Yes, making it permanent.
Uh-huh.
Creating
She's
a new
actively
creating a new save point where those
Yes.
people are dead.
No. It's
Exactly.
acknowledging the previous save point without changing the game.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Deneé, you have one follow-up question.
Oh, just one? I thought last time it was like 2 or 3.
Okay, you can have 2. Good compromise.
I do not have any questions.
Okay, Aaron.
Wow, is that because you're confident? Like you're super confident you know the
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, all right. I just
My confidence in this segment has been like shit for weeks and weeks now. I have no expectation of ever getting this right again because I've been wrong 80% of the time or something. I think Ian was really nice and said it was like 50-50, but he was lying.
I've never been wrong. So this is the week. I will be wrong. You did a great.
You are 1 for 1.
You did great, Ian. You kept your eyes focused on your notes so that you could say what you had already written down, whether it was true or false. There were no tells that I picked up
So
on.
I'm doing regardless.
Right. Yep. So I didn't pick up on any tells. My question would be, are you lying?
That was your question last time. Wasn't that your question last time? Or was it like, are you telling the truth? I think this is Trek.
Well, it is some sort of Trek. Man, it reminds me a lot of something that happened in Discovery. Am I wrong about that? I thought there was a Discovery episode that dealt with kind of
There is
dilations
a
in time.
Yeah, that's when the Mud is on the ship.
Yes.
And he deliberately blows up the ship to initiate a time loop because he's trying to steal the spore drive.
Yes, that is correct. No, I don't think I have any other specific questions. What's the name of the chemical thing they need for their drive?
Dilithium.
Okay. Today I was asking Ian, but I appreciate you jumping in. So it was like a dilithium volcano kind of thing.
You have had 2 questions already, Aaron.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with Deneé. I think this is Trek. I think this is an actual episode.
This is Tricktion.
Yay!
Made it up! Yay! I feel good. I don't know if you've done that just to make me feel better, Aaron.
It's pretty impressive, Ian. Good job. Great. Woo.
Deneé, I feel like you hate this game.
I really do. I liked it. I liked it at the beginning when I was winning. But now I don't like it as
like
much.
most games. They're much more fun when you win.
It is. It's more fun when you win. There's just not a way for me to tell what's real and what's not real when. And that's the point of the game for you, Ian. It's a fun game for you. It's not all about me. It's fine.
I don't know how I set the game up to be fairer. Maybe I have to put in something that's a bit too ridiculous.
Oh, I don't know.
That was all
like
too
everything
reasonable.
you said was pretty crazy. I just figured out a way to make it interesting.
Okay, because it wasn't interesting.
Implied.
Yes, implied that it was not interesting.
Not just inferred, Ian. I'm just backing you up. That was implied, not just inferred.
The person who gets it wrong the most is given a prize.
Okay.
So, and we're gonna go back and say that rule has been in place for a while now. So
okay, nice.
yeah. So I just want to know, what do I get?
Okay, what you get is a in the shape of this enterprise.
Oh my God! How you went back in time and ordered you are Centerprise,
I set this all up.
and they're actually already here. Oh, I have so many of them. Look at this.